Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. Today, we're headed to the summer of 1867, where streets of New Orleans simmered with heat and tension. Though 2 years had passed since the guns fell silent at Appomattox, the wounds of war lingered and the military remained a fixture in the daily lives of many Southerners as Reconstruction unfolded. Among the officers stationed in the Crescent City was First Lieutenant J. Lewis Spalding of the 1st U.S. Infantry, a veteran of some of the Civil War's fiercest battles, now caught in a different kind of struggle, one not against an enemy army, but against the wheels of military justice. Spalding is pictured here on the left next to an unidentified officer. Spalding's troubles began on June 13, 1867, when a bounty hunter named Flannery arrived at the military post with 2 deserters in tow. The practice of capturing deserters for reward money was commonplace in the years following the war, and Flannery, down on his luck, was eager for quick compensation. But any hopes of immediate payment were dashed when Spalding flagged the bounty paperwork on a technicality. Further compounding Flannery's frustration, Spalding informed him the Army would require several weeks to process and pay the reward. Then came a fateful suggestion. Spalding proposed that Flannery sell his claim to a local policeman, a friend of Spalding's, for a reduced sum. Desperate, Flannery agreed. The policeman later redeemed the full value of the claim. Though Spalding did not personally profit from the transaction, his role in facilitating the deal raised eyebrows. Flannery continued to bring in deserters over the next several weeks, selling his bounty claims under similar circumstances. The pattern caught the attention of Major General George Hartsuff, who smelled impropriety and ordered an investigation. The inquiry culminated in Spalding's arrest and a court-martial on charges of conduct unbecoming an officer. Spalding's trial began in August of 1867 and lasted 4 days. The proceedings, while not sensational by the standards of the time, offered a window into the character of a man whose career had begun with promise and was now in jeopardy. Spalding, ever the officer, represented himself in court and questioned several witnesses, including Flannery. In his defense, he presented a letter of support from Major General Joseph Mower, a respected Union commander who had served with Spalding during the war. Mower testified that he had been well pleased with Spalding's performance and even recommended him for a brevet promotion to major. That was in June of 1867. Despite Mower's endorsement, the court found Spalding guilty. He was dismissed from the Army, his reputation tarnished. For a man whose military career had begun with much promise, the fall was steep. Spalding had joined the Union cause in April of 1861, leaving behind a clerical job, a wife, and his home in Norwich, Connecticut. A graduate of Norwich Military Academy, he was one of the first to enlist in the 1st Connecticut Infantry as Sergeant Major. He served in the regiment's brief 3-month term before accepting a commission as a captain in the 18th Massachusetts Infantry. Spalding's Civil War service included key battles such as First Bull Run and Antietam. He resigned due to disability in late 1862, but returned to the Army in March 1864 as adjutant of the 29th Connecticut Infantry. His tenure with the 29th saw him participate in the grueling Petersburg Campaign, and in October 1864, he sustained a bullet wound in the foot at Darbytown Road, leading the men of his regiment, Black Men in Blue, on into the battle. He returned to duty that December and remained with the regiment until its muster out in Brownsville, Texas. That was in October of 1865. Upon returning to Connecticut, Spalding secured a commission in the regular army. That was in April of 1866 and was sent to New Orleans, where he joined Major General Mower's staff and quickly earned his confidence. By the summer of 1867, he was a rising officer with a promising future. All of that changed with the court martial. But Spalding's story didn't end with his dismissal. Thanks to friends in high places, including Connecticut Congressman David Starkweather, Spalding appealed the verdict. His supporters argue that while he may have exercised poor judgment, there was no evidence he had personally profited from the transactions. The appeal was successful. The Army revoked his dismissal and reinstated him with full rank and privileges. His return to duty was a second chance, one he struggled to hold on to. In 1870, Spalding faced another setback when his commanding officer relieved him from duty as an Indian agent in the Pacific Northwest, citing inappropriate behavior. He had, according to reports, been, quote, running after Indian squaws to the neglect of his duty, end quote. Though no formal charges followed, he was not reassigned to duty and quietly mustered out of the Army in January of 1871. Spalding returned to Norwich and found work as an accountant. Years of war and military life had taken a toll on his body, particularly the old foot wound from Darbytown Road caused him problems. Forced to rely on a cane, he eventually left his job in 1884 and entered the Soldiers' Home near Hampton, Virginia. He died there 4 years later in 1888 at the age of 50. Though his career ended in obscurity, Spalding left behind a mixed legacy. His military record included distinguished service with white and black regiments, commendations from senior officers, and battlefield bravery. Yet personal lapses in a volatile post-war world conspired to derail his trajectory. His story is a reminder of the fragile nature of reputations forged in war and peace, and how the lines between right and wrong, loyal and opportunism can blur in the aftermath of a conflict. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail.